ladies and gentlemen, this is Aberrant here, and thank you for watching my first YouTube video in general and for the First Descendant. Today I wanted to showcase you guys the weapon, the Peacemaker. This is a weapon that you get all the parts from Gluttony. It is a hard grind. I dedicated the time for it. When I heard about this weapon, I had to have it. It sounds unique. It's a great weapon. And I think Nexon needs to make weapons like this moving forward. So this is a big win in my department for them. So first I want to talk about the weapon and why I think it works best with Valby. In this case, Ultimate Valby, but base Valby also works. So we're going to talk about the style first. If you look on the side of the weapon here, it says Peacemaker with a red P and an E followed by a silver plating. Make note of that.
What do you get when you
if you were to go and buy Ultimate Valby, you get an additional skin called Vermilion Wave. And on the side of her leg here, you have the same font and coloring. The word is different. It says Encarved. I don't know what that means, but it is the same style. So that is a slight nod to the weapon and the suit that she wears as to why I think it works best for her. And then, moving forward, she is a non-attribute dimension character. She has 2 dimension skills, but she also has a new ultimate skill that works best with the gun. Yeah, not best, but it can work with the gun, but this changes her 1 ability to a dimension ability. And in this skill, you get 3 stacks. So I'll showcase that real quick. And this skill works best for fighting Gluttony. It helps a lot. The weapon you get from Gluttony, so there's a synergy there. But see, it's 1, 2, 3, and then you have 2 stacks of your 3 ability, the Lokified State, and just like that, you have full stacks. Now talking about the weapon itself, I'm going to focus on the main priority here and what we're going to build into. The crit hit rate has a base stat of 50%, and the crit damage has a base stat of 2.5. And that's what we're going to capitalize on. But with the unique ability, Surging Peace, when using a dimension skill, grants the unique ability Single Reload for Peace. When Single Reload for Peace is at max stacks, shooting while aiming rapidly fires all loaded rounds. The basic information here is what decreases as you get additional copies for the weapon. I do highly recommend it. This gun has a lot of recoil, so if you're on controller, it's going to be hard to control. Mouse and keyboard, that's going to be negligible. The trigger rate is 100%, meaning that each time you use a dimension skill, you will always get a stack. The duration is 15 seconds per stack at a maximum of 5. The skill costs 30%, I believe, which I have not tested this portion yet. It had not mattered to me, but I believe that means that your skills are increased by 30% when you have a stack of this, and I believe I did see in the Descendant module tooltip that being increased when I had a stack. So, and then you get a non-attribute skill power of 10%, and then you get an additional 4% per stack leading up to 20. So you have an additional 30% non-attribute skill power when you have 5 stacks on this weapon, and that is actually pretty big when you consider the playstyle that Valby has and what this weapon is. And then the fire rate is 545, and this is talking about when you launch all of your max stacks, how fast it shoots, not the gun 24/7. Now I encourage everybody to try things for themselves, but this is what works best for me, and I think this is going to be best for maximizing the damage value. Please try things out yourself. I encourage it. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the things that are going on with this game, and everyone says if you're not doing this, it absolutely sucks. Your tamer sucks, your thunder cage sucks. No, try out things for yourself. Every situation is going to be different, and that's why we have different tabs. But what I think you absolutely do need for this weapon is firearm attack up, rifling and reinforcement. You need critical hit rate, critical hit damage, and any other purple mods to follow suit with that. And then what you absolutely need is rounds per magazine. And the reason why is because when you have 5 stacks, you unload your whole cylinder of the gun. And the more ammo you have in there, the more ammo you shoot out quick, which is just more DPS. So maximize on rounds per magazine, crit hit rate, crit hit damage, and firearm attack. Now, I ran real life fighter. This, I think, is the most bang for your buck for the weapon. You hit a weak point, up to 10 stacks, you get an additional plus 10%, and this is fully maxed out. I believe the lowercase version is a plus 3%, and that really did do some big damage numbers, but you see the recoil, it is a lot, so it's hard to hit a weak point unless it's a Colossi. Otherwise, most case scenario, you're going to activate this when you're not in the ultimate ability state. I did try out Dopaminergic Activate. That is a perk I used on my other hand cannons. And this is good for the additional critical hit damage, but not so much the critical hit rate, and I'm going to get into that here in a moment. But this is also a viable option, but you're losing out on a lot of DPS compared to real life fighter. And it gives you a negative 20% accuracy, so I threw on an additional accuracy bonus. If you see here, I have the negative secondary trait for this critical hit damage perk, which is a reload time modifier. I'm okay with that, but you could swap this out for any other negative trait, or you can go with a half stack, meaning that you only upgrade a critical hit damage perk 5 times, like the Insight Focus here, and not get a negative trait. But I wanted more critical hit damage. I wanted to maximize on that. So take that with what you will. Reload time and time not shooting does calculate towards DPS. If you do lower your reload time, technically speaking, you do more damage, but this gun works in a different way with its ultimate ability. The DPS does not calculate that portion, so keep that in mind. So moving on, reroll traits. The best case scenario, critical hit damage, critical hit rate, firearm attack. I would like rounds per magazine instead of fire attack, or even electric attack. Being suited for Valby, I think electric attack would be nice, but rounds per magazine is what I want to roll for. I need to take a break and level up other weapons before I try that avenue again. And I just want to go to the info screen here on the weapon. All collectively together, my critical hit rate is 79.65%. That's 80%. So we're going to patch this up with Valby's Supply Moisture, which can be used on Ultimate or Base. And if you don't know, Supply Moisture, while you're standing on her water, adds 20% critical hit rate chance. So I'll show you here. We are at 100% critical hit rate, and our critical hit damage collectively is 5.32. So that is a lot of damage at a constant rate, as long as we have water. Okay, so now I wanted to go over the build options and the reactor and external components. So to start with the Descendant, you need Supply Moisture. This is critical to the build. I like investing in HP rather than just defense, especially not shield. So I maximize HP. I went with HP amplification and the negative shield rather than the other option for HP, which is a negative 15% in MP, which is stim accelerant. That is the most HP you can get, but the negative 15% MP does not help with the build, so I'd rather not run that. I also run MP conversion, which has a deduction on the MP, and I prefer to have it there than in both places for a total of negative 30% negative MP. Dangerous Ambush just helps with the 4, the 3, and generally all her skills, especially with the Colossus when they're immobilized, but again, her skills don't do the most amount of damage. It's nothing super weak, but it's not your main form of damage, unlike your firearms that you're using. Shot focus, I think, is critical for all guns on a Supply Moisture build. It's going to help with the hand cannon, the Peacemaker, my Afterglow sword, or anything that you're going to use for DPS. And it does come with a skill power modifier of negative 15%. I run Iron Defense to try and even that out a little bit. I'm getting about still a negative 3.2%. And then I run Frugal Mindset for less skill cost and a little bit more range, and Skill Expansion for even more range. I like to have a bigger playing field on the battlefield. If you don't have skill expansion, you can only travel backwards in your steps for the skill critical hit increase. So I like to have this wider AoE, bigger playing field. I run focus on non-attribute and dimension for both sides of the coin here, for the skill cooldown especially, but the increased skill power also helps with the skills. And again, well, this gun, while you have stacks and maximum stacks, it increases your non-attribute skill power, so all this goes hand in hand. This is a good flex build. You know, it can be used for a lot of different content, which is your hard mode missions, maybe the mega dungeon when it comes out, your colossi. It helps with a lot of situations, especially team play. So this is my favorite build for her currently. There are things you can swap out for the defense if you don't care about the skill power modifier. If you don't care about effect range, you can swap these out. I encourage everybody to test things out for themselves, but for me, HP is very important, and shot focus is the most important, and anything that reduces the cooldown and increases the duration of your skills helps a lot. You know, I want to try and have as much uptime as I can. I could push for more, but there's a lot of important things here that I can't get rid of. I had another variation of this where I had walk a tight rope along with shot focus for even more firearm attack increase, but I don't feel safe running lower HP on Valby versus someone like Glay, which is another character I main, you know, where it makes sense and it's easier to achieve. But so I don't run this build that often. This is actually the build though that I do run for Gluttony with her new ultimate Transcendent mod. So, but that's the build. Take a look at her. Copy as you need fit. As for the reactor, this is the best thing I've got so far, but the side effect rolls, the re-rolls, are not anything that I want. Again, the skills aren't doing a crazy amount of damage, so I'm not using them to fight the Colossus with. And the effect range is nice, but what I would rather see would be critical hit damage, critical hit rate for the skills, or cooldown, duration. Especially I would like to see non-attribute skill power boost ratio. That would be awesome. You can currently farm a non-attribute dimension with impact rounds. And we'll take a look here, and I'm still farming this area right now. But it's in Agna Desert. This is not really the best farming area, but you can go to Volga Strategic Outpost currently as this week to go and farm that. Or this mission here, this also helps, but this rotation will end in 4 days. To the external components, I'm running a full Annihilation set. I think this helps with the firearm attack when you lose a little bit of HP. I think you have to lose about 24% to gain benefits, or 26%. The MP recovery deduction isn't great. I don't like that part, so I just have to take another step personally to find health before I gather MP orbs. But you know, it's a win-loss ratio. I would rather have increased firearm attack for all of my weapons. Plus, I like double defense and double HP. I think that's maximum value for myself. The rerolls here are not the best, but they're not the worst. I would like a gold max MP, HP and MP as well, with MP recovery modifier, recovery in combat and out of combat. Shield recovery modifier is okay, but I'm not running much shield. I could argue that you could run the Bravery set. I think it's Bravery. Nope, it is Slayer. You could run the Slayer set, but then you're going to have an increased skill cost, which the weapon already gives you increased skill cost, so you would have to nullify that negative with modules. So that is an option, but her 4 does inflict Toad, so you can recover MP that way, which is nice. But I don't like that playstyle, but I will make a build based on this. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and go over a quick gameplay loop with Valby and the weapon. So if you have your build, at least with the uptime of the skill cooldown relatively close, you can start off with your 3 or your 2, run around. Now keep in mind, with each stack of this weapon, you get an additional 4% non-attribute skill power boost ratio. So as you're doing this, enemies are taking more damage. So we're at 3 stacks. Run this. Get an additional stack. Just short there of another, but realistic battlefield when you're playing in this game, you're not going to spam all shots quickly. So there's our last stack, and we're going to shoot. And that's a lot of damage. I did miss 2 shots there, but I want to show you guys some damage numbers. That is 147,000, and that times 14 is 2 million damage. And of course, this is specific to this boss. He's level 1, or this enemy. This is a level 100 enemy, but this is going to vary between all other types of enemies, colossi included. But if I were to show you a headshot, that is 250,000, and that times 14 is 3.5 million. So that's a lot of damage that you can quick burst DPS out with this weapon without actually having to do too much, because Valby's playstyle naturally is you use a lot of her skills, you create a battlefield with her water, her supply moisture, all her abilities, and then you shoot in between when you need to. And you can still do that with the gun. You don't lose stacks when you aim and shoot. You only lose all your stacks when you have maximum at 5. And one last thing for you guys. This weapon does have a skin. Can't buy it in the store. It doesn't give you an option. If anyone knows how to get this, or has had it dropped from Gluttony, or anything about it, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to have this. I'd love to have some cues for it. I have a feeling this drops from Gluttony at a very low drop chance, but maybe not until you have the weapon in general. Maybe you need to have it maxed out and auto-catalyzed. I don't know. I actually haven't ran Gluttony yet after completing this weapon because I had to focus on other things and finishing the weapon. So I will be starting that soon, and if you want to be a part of any Gluttony farms that I have here hosting soon, I will be going live with that. Please let me know, and I'd love to help you. If you have any information about it, the skin, let me know. And I love the skins because you can paint the skins, so I think all guns should have that feature, but that is what it is. But any information greatly helps. Look at that. That looks cool. But that's going to do it, guys. If y'all have any questions or comments or concerns or any feedback, as this is my first video, please leave them down below. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, give me a follow, and turn the notifications on. I plan on doing this starting off as a hobby. I have been gaming forever. I love gaming, and there's been a lot of great games in the past year that I've wanted to start doing this on. So this will be my little passion project, and I'd love to have as many people come along for the ride. I love meeting new people, making friends, and networking. So please, put your voice out there and let's connect and let's talk. I love the build crafting in this game. This game is great, and that's why I wanted this to be my first video. This game has had that impact on me. The other games I play are Elden Ring and Wuthering Waves. I love horror games. But this game just did so much for me that I wanted to make my first video on this. So anyways, that's going to do it. My name is Aberrant. Don't forget it. And those are the deets, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.